Steve and Conrad tonight, for at least for an hour anyway. We have a few cancellations. Rick had to go off and do something, an emergency of some sort. Daniel's still mending fences, and Rick is, I guess, taking his kid to baseball or something, right?
Yeah.
So it's just us two to start. If you're on, drop a line on where you're from. Okay, there's one already, Westerville, Ohio. Are you guys well, I guess in Florida you're not getting the big storms, but I guess there's some big storms rolling through Arkansas and stuff, right?
Yeah, we didn't. It rained for about an hour one night here. That was about it.
Yeah, we're supposed to get rain tomorrow for the first time in weeks. Westerville. Anyone else? How many people we got on? Teresa's here. Alabama's getting some storms. Oh, Atlanta. Sorry, I'm old and I can't see, and the letters are small, way over there on the other side of my screen. I guess Atlanta isn't getting storms right now. It's hurricane country. Oh, we got lots of Arkansas. Now Arkansas is getting some storms.
Yeah, I've got family in Arkansas. My sister is there.
Waverly, Iowa.
Ooh, look at there.
That'll be some more storm country there. Hobbs World. Yeah. I've been in Syracuse many times. I used to live not too far from there on the other side of the border. Nope. No storms? Oh, I heard there were some big storms coming through there. Wisconsin.
By the time it got down to the southeast, there was not a lot going on.
Yeah. Well, I'm. They say it's going to be an active hurricane season this year. Hey, there's Roger.
Roger's coming in.
Yeah, I made it. I made it. Just barely made it.
We'd already sold you off.
Yeah, it was a long drive, but I got back here, so I got to play with the camera a little bit here.
Your headphone sounds A1, spectacular.
Oh, good. What a day.
All right. So if you have questions, drop them into the comments there. I'll start with some news. First with WeCreate, they're finally shipping their 40-watt laser. Mine was shipped today, so I'll do a video on that whenever it arrives, which is probably going to be in a few more days, another week probably, and then I have to do it. I still have the 60-watt Creality Falcon 2 Pro to do too. That'll be a short video since I've reviewed the airframe for that twice already. It's really just the laser that's important. Other news, and I dropped a video probably 2 hours ago on the X-Tool F1 Ultra, that one's actually looking pretty interesting. It's a 20-watt diode laser and a 20-watt fiber laser. But I have a feeling the fiber is a MOPA because it can do color. So it's interesting, and I have one of those coming too. So that'll be on my list over the next couple of weeks.
I don't have anything interesting to add because we've just been buried in trying to get shipments out all week. And the weather hasn't been cooperating, so it's been wild. And I still work as a consultant for a company, and I got called out of town. I didn't even know I was going to make it back tonight, but I made it.
Oh, I thought you were retired.
I am, sort of, more or less. Even got the arc flash clothes on yet. Rick will know what that is when he gets on here.
I retired. I took early retirement a little over a year ago, 8 days past a year. And I work harder now than I did when I was working, which is a sad statement. But
yeah, I retired in 2019, and I've been busier now than I was when I was working. And I'm trying to figure out how I got all this stuff done back when I was still working.
Yeah, I was the same. because I was doing most of the things I do now when I was working 20 or 40, 45 hours a week. So it's a mystery. Yet I don't seem to have any free time. I should have 8 or 10 hours of free time every day, and it's just not happening. All right, drop your questions in the chat if you have anything specific you want to talk about. But yeah, this Xtool F1 Ultra is I think it could be the most interesting product announcement of the year in the laser sector. This thing has it's got a 220 millimeter square bed on it, so you can do pretty decent things. It's about twice the size of the F1, and it also comes with a conveyor. And with their XCS software, you can they show a video where they're just dropping business cards randomly on this conveyor belt and they're getting engraved assembly line fashion. I think this is pretty cool. So, if you're in high volume stuff, this could be the laser for you. The downside is it is not cheap. There's currently if you pre-order, you can save $1,000. Which should give you an indication of what the ultimate price is, which is about $4,800 is the regular price. So
yeah, not quite entry level.
No, and I think Xtool is really kind of pushing up market now, right? Like I think they're really trying to target business, small businesses initially, but you can kind of see where they're going, right? Like they've basically dropped all their consumer lasers, and except for the F1, which is it's a consumer laser, but it's really for people who go to shows, to craft fairs and stuff, right? Where you can do custom engraving on the fly. So it's still somebody who's in business, it's entry business, but yeah, this thing is pretty impressive. Now it's got a 20 watt fiber, but they show engraving a coin, and it looks like it was done with a 50 watt fiber laser. I don't know what they did there. So that could be the magic of video, or it could be something real, but I'll let you know because I have one coming probably in the next week. This one, I've been talking to them quite a while with this one, but I've been under NDA for a long time, so it's like it just. But it looks interesting. It looks like a gigantic F1, like it's very tall and. Corby's been looking at it too. Yeah, how do you feel about the price, Corby? It's it's a fiber laser. You kind of expect fiber lasers to be at least 2,500, and then they put a 20 watt diode laser in there too. So Montgomery, Alabama.
Yeah, my wife's from Alabama, so I learned to talk Southern, at least to understand it, not so much talk it, but I can understand it.
Yes, I think it's way out of most of our price ranges. Suffice it to say, I wouldn't afford one if they weren't, paying me to do a review on it. This one is actually, it's just they're not paying me to say good things about it. They're paying me because I took quite a bit of time to work on it. So. Lollipop Woodworks, that one's new.
Northwest Arkansas. I still speak Southern.
What's this? Oh, Rick is actually responding.
Oh, well, Rick, put on your arc flash clothes. I got mine on. Us in the electrical field, that's kind of a thing.
I have no desire to do anything with electricity unless it's low voltage.
Well, I just got done doing some power quality analysis on some oscillatory transients on a 160,000 volt incoming line to a plant. That's where I was all day.
Is this true, Rick? They speak country and Western?
Yeah, that's true down there.
At least it's not rap. Not that I'm a huge fan of country and Western, but I don't want to upset anybody. Oh, so all you've been doing is greenhouses this week?
Oh yeah, it's just this is springtime, and we are just buried with stuff. The UPS guy on Monday about had a stroke because he couldn't only get everything in his truck, in his pickup. So I said, I warn you guys, it was going to be busy on Mondays and Tuesdays.
Oh, I thought I took a picture of what I did take a picture of what I was working on. Let me see if I can if I can share this. If I can turn off parts of the sorry, I'm challenged here. So what do you say, Conrad? Push
click the present button down the bottom.
Present and share a screen. Well, let me just expand this entire thing onto a screen here and see if I can find the right screen. Which screen? Select tab to share. Window. Oh, here we go. How's that? There. So this is what I was doing for the bulk of the week, is engraving watch bands. Now, I was these aren't my watch bands. They belong to a company I've been working with. And while I was engraving them, so I don't want to lose one of these because it's going to cost me money if I do. So I saw a really bad thing unfolding in my laser. So this is the laser I built, which I'd like to say I'm smart enough not to open while it's running, but I saw a disaster happening. So I opened it and stuck my arm in there. And in about a second, I felt this. This is why laser safety is important. That was about 1 second of a 90-watt laser bashing onto my arm. I did save the piece, though.
Well, when I first saw that picture, I thought you had a piano keyboard going on there.
I thought the same thing actually when I looked at it just in the files here. But yeah, there's these are Fitbit bands, and there's 3 pieces to them. There's a short piece, a long piece, and then the clasp on the other side. And they wanted their logo put on the top of every one of these. And there was, I don't know, about almost 200 of them, I think. And it was like, oh, this is not what I want to do with my life. But
this isn't fun.
If you want to know how to make a really good jig to make 10 of these things at a time. Now, most lasers, this wouldn't actually fit inside the laser, but I'm happy to do a video on making laser jigs. I know Clack Shack, he's done lots of jigs, and in my ideal world, I would be able to throw these onto this F1 Ultra and just have it engrave things in the right place, but I think that's too much to hope for. Anyway, that's what I was doing for most of the week.
Well, my only real project laser-wise I got to do this past week was in order for us some like oversized coasters. Get this up here. Kind of straight.
Is that cork?
Yep, it's cork. I do 20 of these for a craft shop.
Wow.
And 20 of these.
That sounds like something my sister would say.
Well, I was surprised that something would sell that well. And then it has a reverse side as well.
Huh. And they're selling these well?
Yeah, the craft shop that I supply these to, I'm surprised that these 2 things sold that well, but they wanted 20 more of each.
Huh.
So, okay.
That's good business. Those are easy to make.
Yeah, and I've got a jig for it, so I can do 9 at a time. So it's easy.
Hey, Sean. We need to we need to bring in some guests every now and again. I should talk to Clack and see if he wants to come and do a guest appearance. Testing veneer inlay. The S1. Yeah, how's this working out? The inlay's fun actually, but you got to make sure your inlay is flat, or find a way to keep it flat while you're engraving it or cutting it, because it's just a nightmare if it starts moving around. And you probably don't want to have the air assist running when you're cutting it.
My problem has been when I have played with veneer inlays is it wants to curl when I cut it.
Yeah.
And no matter how many magnets or hold downs you use, if it's small, it's almost impossible to keep it from curling.
Yeah. So what I tend to do is put like double-sided tape down when I'm engraving it, and it can't be too sticky though, because you got to peel the stuff off without breaking it after. So just a light stick is enough to keep it flat enough while you're cutting it.
Building
if you're using a laser
to hold it down from 4 sides.
Yeah, the problem is you're cutting something out of the middle of it, right? And the thing in the middle will curl.
Now on the CNC, I use painter's tape on both sides and some CA glue in between. And I don't have a problem there, but yeah, with the laser, it could be a bit of a challenge.
Yeah, 4 layers of white tape. Yeah, that should do it. Well, you could, you could use double-sided tape in the middle, or you could just use a bit of CA glue. But it's it's a challenge. It's a skill to learn for sure.
Another one from Arkansas. We got a lot of Southerners tonight.
Yes. Oh, engraving it. Yeah, I don't work with inlay often, but it's always an experience. We'll say you always learn something when you do an inlay project. Usually it's you learn that you should be doing something else other than inlay for the most part, but because it's always more work than it's worth. I tried to simplify it in a video there a while ago, but it's always hard. No questions tonight? See, everybody's waiting for Rick. He's our star. What else? What have you been up to, Conrad?
I've been doing a lot of markets. The market season out here is now closed. It was just way too hot. It's crazy.
So it's kind of the inverse of everywhere else where there's a market, right? They're just starting here.
Yeah, I've got one more next weekend, and that's the last one. That one is kind of like one of those space available places where it's hard to get into, but when enough people drop out, then they're available.
Yeah.
To walk on.
Yeah, I tend not to do markets. Well, I don't do markets, we'll say.
I supply stuff to people that do markets. That's the easy way.
Yeah, see, that's outsourcing. That might be a better way to go.
I have a product that uses those little cork rounds too, and I was going, oh, there's an idea.
I don't know. I don't do coasters either.
Mine are what they call butlers. They're kind of like made from barrel planks.
Yeah.
And so there's kind of like a little ashtray portion for like a cigar, and then there's another portion for where you put your cocktail.
Sean, if you want to watch videos on coins, you have to watch some of Rick's stuff. He's been doing 60-watt fiber engraving. If I want to engrave something that deep, I have to use a CNC, which isn't nearly as precise. Any comments on the Rolly XW? Is that a new one? Oh, it is new. Yes.
I haven't heard of that one.
Let's have a look. Yeah, Rolly's got to be in a tough place because there's so much competition all around them. Looks just like their old laser. What makes it different?
It's not some insane wattage, is it?
Well, let's see. No, you can get it in a 10, 20, or 30 watt. I'd have to dig in and look to see what's innovative about it. But people say good things about Rollies all the time, so I don't know. Can't really say anything bad because I haven't used one other than I've seen one. Wow, 60. If you have a 60 watt fiber, you can make all the coins you want.
Yeah, I would say 20 watts a good midpoint for engraving. Even a 10 watt will do well too.
Yeah.
You don't want to go, 40 watt if you're just going to do engraving because the dot's too big. You won't get the precision.
So, Frank, if you're just engraving, get a 5 or 10 watt laser because, well, I'd say 10. Don't get a 5 watt. Once you start putting multiple diodes in a diode laser, the beam tends to get bigger. And then you start to lose precision. Make no mistake, it's still going to be good. But if you have a single diode laser, like a 5 watt laser, the beam size is going to be, I don't know, 0.08 or 0.06 millimeters square, and it'll be square as opposed to, or pretty close to square anyway, as opposed to a rectangle.
And I've got one of my tiles laying here. We actually had this out from last week. This was done with a 10 watt laser, and there's a lot of detail on it. And you can't get that good of a detail with a 40 watt.
Hang on, let's do this. How do we switch so that you're in the front there? Is it that one? No.
I don't have that power here.
Oh, here we go. Solo layout.
Yeah, there you go. So to get that kind of precision, you're not going to get that with a 40 watt laser.
No.
This is done on ceramic tile. And my fingernails are dirty. That's because of what I was doing today.
Don't want to know, man. Oh, maybe that's the oh yeah, okay. So it's got a larger work area, I guess. XW must be extended work area. So it's 24 by 16. Oh, bigger the better for sure on the size. Yeah, 24 inches wide. Hey, it's not unusually wide. It's a little wider than the S1, I guess. The only thing I'm ever really concerned about with the Rollies is the spot size is huge by comparison to everybody else. So their spot size on their 30 watt is 0.3 millimeters wide, 0.3 by 0.12. That's twice the width of an S1, a 40 watt, even a 40 watt S1. And I don't know if these guys are telling the truth and everyone else is lying or what, but their spot sizes just seem to be big by comparison. Now their 10 watt is a good size, but yes, it's extended width. I pieced my own puzzle together. Yeah, CO2s, man, they're still my favorite.
Especially if you're doing acrylic.
Well, that's mostly
is,
what I do, right? Is acrylic when I'm doing laser work. So
that's all I do on my CO2 is acrylic, and pretty much just unicorns. I make lots of unicorns.
Yeah, well, that's my business is one-offs. Yeah, the thing about CO2 lasers is they are not really good for engraving imagery, just because the beam size is 0.3 and 0.35 millimeter square. It's well, it's not even square. It's a round beam, but it tends to be huge by comparison to diode lasers. Yeah, they can turn off. This seems to be the trend now. Now that they've made laser power so high, now they're starting to make lasers that you can turn 3/4 of it off.
I just wonder if it actually decreases the dot size, though.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's supposed to, but you got so many. The problem is you still have all those optics in the way, right? So, I mean, I guess if they leave the last diodes on, there's fewer optics to go through, but it's it'd be something to test, I think. To continue cutting.
Well, I can tell you some tricks to do if you're engraving. I've never tried to do it cutting. On an engrave, I find a good parting point when the object is larger than my laser bed is. Of course, I got my longer ray 5 to 150 millimeter square now, so that's no longer a problem. But if you find a good stop point on an engrave, you can reposition your work. For cutting, I have never tried to do that.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, I think it would end up being the same way. It's just, I don't know how accurate it would be.
That was what I was thinking, trying to get that reposition to the point where the laser will continue to cut on the same line without having a little jaggedy thing going on there.
Yeah, if this was something you were doing constantly, I'd say get some extension rails for the D1 Pro.
Yeah, putting the extension rails on a D1 is not difficult. One of my D1s does have the extension rails on it.
Yeah, I do. I have my D1 Pro has the extension rails, and I don't use that laser very much anymore. Just in part because it's too big. I just don't have enough table space or desk space to put it on.
That's kind of my issue with my Ray 5. Since I went to that 850 millimeter square, I have to like lean it up against the wall. Then I got to clear a table off when I'm going to use it.
Larger than. Making something larger than. Yeah, what do I do with my D1 Pro? Oh, larger than the material. Is that what the mat is?
The mat would probably be the like the honeycomb bed or your base.
Yeah, so I don't know. You could create some stilts to put around it so that anything that's hanging over the edge is at the same height. Ah, Glitter Fart's back.
Yeah, it's good to see you.
The best username ever.
Good day. It must be from down under.
Yeah, creative. He's one of mine. Tasmania, I believe. No, I have someone else in Tasmania. Are you in Tasmania or Australia?
That's on my bucket list is to get down there sometime, but trying to get the wife to take a flight that long is a challenge.
It's a lot. For me, it's about as far away as I can get on the planet before I start coming back. Like it's just a long, long way. It's kind of the opposite, completely opposite side of the world from me.
Cleaning the laser head, you want to use isopropyl alcohol at 90% if you can get it. And pretty much nothing else, microfiber cloth. And as far as how often, if you're on the weak rate, since the air assist runs pretty much all the time, I have never had a problem with my lens getting dirty.
Yeah, I haven't either, but I think it would depend on the material. But just isopropyl alcohol. I get the 99% stuff. You can get it if you have if you live in a rural area, you can get it at a farm supply place, and it's usually cheaper because they sell it to farmers.
Well, if you're in a really rural area, you get moonshine. That'd work too.
That's not isopropyl.
Now it's grain alcohol, but it'll kind of do the same thing. And then you can drink the leftovers.
Do I know the price of an Atom Stack 70 watt? I would say Google it. I don't know. That's all I'm going to do. Is it the A70? I think it's the A70, right? Oh, of course, my spam filter is getting in the way. No offense to Atom Stack. It's pretty aggressive. Could it be a certain program? Well, at some point, you're still going to end up bigger than the work area. But
if you are using the extension rails and it does fit within your work area, you need to make some setting adjustments either in Lightburn or whatever software you're using to accommodate the longer rail length.
Yeah, there's in Lightburn, if you're using the X tool in Lightburn, there's a setting you have to change because it's at, I don't know, it's a meter long, right? Whenever you got the extension rails in, and that's longer than Lightburn wants to see something run by default. It assumes your lasers run off the end of the earth or something, so it stops. And there's a setting you can change to change the width to something, the error in the width to something exceptional.
Now you have to change it on the y-axis, as I remember.
Yeah, there you go.
Then if you go back to your initial setup in Lightburn for your D1, you can change the work area to however many millimeters you have now.
Oh yeah, so Glitterfart makes a good point here. Slate coasters make a lot of dirt, and it doesn't seem to get blown away completely by the air assist. I had to clean not a diode laser. I had to clean a CO2 laser with air assist on it, and I only engraved like, I don't know, 10 slate coasters, and the whole optic system was just completely messed up. I had to clean it all.
Well, when I'm doing slate, I run my air assist at 100%. I mean, I'm just blasting the dust off of it.
Yeah, I do on my CO2 as well, but it slate just is, it kind of turns into paste when it becomes dust, and it just sticks to everything. Height adjust, yeah, okay. Rain-X. Oh, I don't know. That terrifies me.
I don't know. That's a quartz crystal usually. I don't know how. That's a questionable thing for me. I don't know if I'd go that route or not.
Yeah, I would just wonder if you're going to bake this, whatever Rain-X is leaving behind, onto the lens.
I mean, I use Rain-X on my truck windshield, but I don't use it on my lasers.
I can imagine you can cook that.
What else we got? There we go. The A70 Max is $1,700. Man, diode lasers have really crept up in price. Whatever happened to the $200 one?
Oh, they're still out there, but they're really not good.
Walmart sells it.
I still get offers to demonstrate some of these new like off-brand lasers, but when I start looking at the specs, they're like 10 watt and no limit switches, open frame, and I just pass on them.
Yeah, I would actually worry about this on a diode laser too, because like a 70-watt diode laser, the energy density of the beam is way higher than a 70-watt CO2 laser. I don't know. I'll find an old diode module in my junk bin and see if I can cook Rain-X onto it.
I'm working at the MDS for it now.
I just wonder if it would affect the integrity of the crystal.
Conditions to avoid: heat, flames, and sparks, excessive heat.
What's that?
I'm looking at the MDS. The
Yeah.
MDS.
MSDS.
Yes. For the stability and reactivity of Rain-X. And it's conditions to avoid: heat, flames, and sparks, excessive heat.
Does it have a silica base?
It is
Probably. Because it's ceramic, right? It's some ceramic material or something.
Yeah, if you don't want to use anything that has a silica base on a quartz crystal.
Yeah, I'm
So-
sure I saw where it was containing silicates.
Yeah, so since we're on this subject and people can kind of poke in here, what's the weirdest material they're interested in engraving? Because I had just before this, one of my viewers reached out and said they were trying to use or they were thinking of using oil board for stencils. And I said, whoa, oil board, the oil in oil board is linseed oil.
Yeah, that's not a good
Please.
combination there.
Yeah, please don't do that.
My weirdest one here, and I think I mentioned it a week or two ago, was a guy that wanted to engrave a bullet. And I'm talking a live round on his laser. And I said, just don't. If you want to
This is
have a dummy
dartboard.
round.
There's a Darwin Award in there somewhere.
Yeah, if you want to do a dummy round or just a shell, yeah, that's fine. But don't try to engrave a live round.
Yeah, engrave it before you load it.
Yeah.
Even then, I would worry about it, because if you got an engraved shell, assuming it didn't go off in your laser while you were engraving it, you've now got a shell casing that's probably compromised, right?
That it's got somebody's name on it. That could be a bad thing too. If you're the
evidence
person
is
with
right
that
there.
name.
This is the original. The original recipe is ethanol, acetone, and isopropanol.
Oh, that's basically glass cleaner.
That's basically glass cleaner.
Yeah. Huh. Well, nothing in there should be too upsetting.
I know I like to say I use it on my truck windshields and it works great. A lot of times you don't even need to use your wipers. The rain just sheets right off.
But we're losing head enough already.
I assume that the first version was just such a cleaner that it just took off everything that water could stick to.
Laser print
glass
lasers.
down to nothing.
It does leave some type of coating behind though. I know that.
Yeah, I don't like it on my windshield, actually. I find that the coating just makes everything smear after.
Well, I have the S140 watt, but my WeCreate's a 20, and I have no complaints on either one of them. I don't have the 40 watt head for the WeCreate, but I haven't had a need for it though either.
So yeah, I have a 40 watt S1, which is, I would say, my real daily driver. WeCreate has today sent me a 40 watt one, like a whole laser. So I'll have some feedback on the 40 watt soon. I like the WeCreate just from a user perspective. You can't beat the camera in it, honestly. like for anybody who's new and you're trying to just put your design on a piece of material and want to know where it's going to be, the WeCreate is the one to go with. It's by far is the tops for positioning with their
Oh
camera.
yeah, it's almost a brain dead procedure. It's really easy.
Yeah, what you see is definitely what you're going to get. Black absolute granite. Somebody asked me recently to do well, it was a slate tile, but it was going to be a 2-foot square slate tile. They wanted engraved with I think it was a golf course. And they were going to put it in the middle of their patio. And I just like, slate is easy enough to engrave, but it's 2 feet and it's just crazy.
I've done a granite floor tile with white paint on it, which was a lighter colored granite. And I used, it's like the Nicky Norton white tile method, basically. And I coated it with high titanium dioxide white paint. And I had a really good engrave on that. That was a picture of a skeleton in a bathtub taking a shower. So it's something off the wall and unique, but it worked. Yeah, that Darwin Award you don't want to win.
I don't want to win any Darwin Award.
Oh, yeah.
So upgrade, why? Yeah, so it depends what you're doing. The WeCreate model is a little different than say the S1 model on the X tool. The X tool modules are very easy to change. So you can go from a 20 to a 40 or 2-watt IR. On the WeCreate, it's not so much. They came out with their IR module, and it's a process to get the IR module put in there and pull the existing module out. So I would get a 40-watt if I was doing a bunch of cutting and then maybe some engraving, because you really don't want to be changing modules in a WeCreate. Like, it's really, like I said, it's really designed for beginners, and they don't want you touching things in there usually. So they don't make it easy to change the modules. And you might as well, if you're going to do a bunch of cutting, you might as well start with a big module. Now, I think they also have in the 40, I think you can also turn it back down to a 20-watt. So you don't ever need to put a 20-watt in there anyway. But if you have a 20 now, keep it. You'll be fine.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. I'm a big Lightburn user because that's what I started with and know it real well. And it would be nice if WeCreate could eventually work this out to work with Lightburn and their camera.
Well, they do work with Lightburn, but their camera doesn't work.
Yeah.
I think it must be possible. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a camera, right? So, yeah, I'll have the WeCreate 40-watt review coming soon. I'll probably get the laser in a week or so, and it'll be a week or two after that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it'll look just like the WeCreate you have now, but it'll just have a lot more cutting power. I'm also really interested to see their conveyor. I think they're going to send me one, but yeah. Well, good or fair? You mean the camera driver they have for their own software or for Lightburn? Because it doesn't have a camera driver for Lightburn. It's a virus. That's possible. Again, people rave about the Lasermatic, so I don't think you can go wrong.
I don't have one.
I think they changed their case now that you can pull the bottom out. Because initially on the rollies, you couldn't pull the bottom out of the laser, which limited the height that you could engrave. And There was something else that they had that was limiting. Well, just the height, the maximum height that you can put in there. But I think they've remedied some of that. Yeah, I have an IR module, but my laser. So my WeCreate Vision, my 20 watt is, I think, serial number 11. And when I tried to put the IR module in last week or the week before, it wouldn't work. And they got back to me and said, well, your controller is really old. And I thought they would just send me a new controller, but their solution was, well, we'll just send you the 40 watt laser. So I'll kill two birds with one stone, and I'll do the IR at the same time. It seems a bit extreme to me, though. Yeah, Rolly camera works with Lightburn. The thing, the camera is not the problem. Lightburn's the problem. Lightburn's camera detection or management, we'll say, isn't really all that accurate. It's good for roughly positioning a project on a piece of material, but unlike that, the WeCreate camera is deadly accurate to way less than a millimeter, and you can calibrate it if it's not accurate enough for you. So it's not like the Lightburn model of cameras is, it's about here is where you're going to cut. In the WeCreate model, it's exactly here it's going to be. So it is different, and I really like the positioning that they have.
I did a lot of experimenting with Adam Stack's camera and Lightburn, and finally decided it wasn't worth the trouble.
Yeah, I generally, with an open frame laser, I don't use a camera for the most part. Yeah, I'm the $2 eBay cameras. It's going to be no worse than the ones they ship anyway. Let's say that. Yeah, sorry, we lost Conrad there. He's drinking a beer or something offline here. There he is.
There he is. I got mine right here, and I've had a long day, so I got a couple of them lined up here.
I got to remember to bring one of these days. So weird materials, anybody? So if you're looking at oil, this oil matting stuff, don't use it, because linseed oil is quite flammable, especially when it's boiled like it is for this oil mat stuff. But I did have somebody also ask me about the matting that they use in picture frames, whether you can cut that stuff. And I actually boarded some. I thought it was an interesting question. So, because I've never used it for laser engraving. So I ordered some, and we'll see what it looks like.
As far as cutting stencils on oil board, if you've got a Cricut or a Cameo, that's the way to go.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything that doesn't involve fire is probably a much better approach.
All you need is a sharp blade.
Yep. Yeah, I started. Vivor actually reached out to me the other day and asked me if I wanted to test a vinyl cutter. They have stand-up ones that look like the old plotters from the 1980s, the pen plotters. I don't know. If people are interested, they can leave a comment here, and maybe I'll set something up with them. But I've kind of put them on hold for now, in part because I'm too busy.
What's that? That little cutting tool that you see all the little crappy girls use?
Well, Cricuts.
Yeah.
But they can only cut like, I don't know, 12 inches wide or something, right?
Let me see if I can get.
They actually have a bigger one now, though.
So I can zoom in on that.
Yeah, I have the exact same one.
Yeah, Cricut Maker.
Yeah, Cricut 3 is what I have.
I don't think I can get zoomed far enough over to get to that Expert 24.
We can see it. They're great machines. I'm not a fan of their software. It kind of locks you in, but.
Oh. There's my Expert 24 over there. That's a big vinyl cutter. So that one does the job too.
Yeah.
Get myself back over to me. This remote on this particular camera, the arrows work backwards. Whoop, passed myself up there.
Get your pilot's license.
Yeah.
So I got this this message up here from Warrior Woman Woodcraft Designs. Wow, that sounds intimidating.
WD.
Yeah, W3D. So are you saying that there's lines that get put there that aren't in the design?
That's a what is that? $30 or 32 needs to be turned to 0. Otherwise, your laser beam stays on when it moves.
Oh yes, okay. I was thinking it was so there's a path optimization feature in Lightburn too, and I have had that thing cause more problems than it's worth. I just make sure it's turned off. It's right on the main cut window or laser tab, I guess. And there's an optimize tool path or optimize paths checkbox there. I've had it do a nice engrave. Then I'm cutting the outline, and it gets up to the top corner, and it goes diagonally across the thing I just engraved with a cut, and cuts it into 2 pieces to get down to the far corner. And it's like, what the hell was this? And it took me a while, but I figured out it was the optimize path thing was turned on, and I just that's off my list now.
I know in my early days with the lasers, I had that one setting I had to change because whenever the laser would move, it'd leave a line. And I'm thinking it's like $30 in the G code.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah. So take a picture. I assume you're talking about a portrait of a picture of a person. Yeah, put it on a tripod. You could make sure that you have stabilization on your phone camera too, just in case. Cuts off path. Yeah, make sure the what Rick said. There is an option that leaves the beam on when it's repositioning. Make sure that's not turned on, and check the optimization thing just in case. It'll be one or the other of those.
Well, I remember this from last week because I didn't know what that was.
Yeah, you mentioned this last week. Well, I went and looked it up, and it made sense once I looked it up. You think you have a YouTube channel? Trust me, for the amount of work you have to do to make a YouTube channel, you'll know if you have one.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, everybody who's got a YouTube account technically has a YouTube channel, by the way. So you can just stick a video up there.
Yeah, I've got like 3.
Yeah, I have a couple. How do I change that? Yeah, so this is where you have to go into device settings. Up in the edit menu of now, you have to be careful because you're headed into the dark zone here. But do a bit of research first, and it could be so there's a bunch of numbered parameters in the machine settings, and there's one $30, which is which I think is the one. We can just look it up here.
Yeah, and if it's set to 0, it will not. And your laser beam will turn off when it travels. If it's set to 1, your laser beam will be on.
Yeah, I think that's the one. So in the old throwback to the CNC days, that was the one that turned the CNC motor, the spindle, off and on.
Right.
In a laser, it turns the beam off and on.
I can tell you about Lola's electricians because you're looking at one right here.
Yeah, you're about to start something here, Glitterfart.
Yeah.
Rick and Roger are both electricians.
I'll do a little bit of advertising here. How about this?
Well, you see, now we're going to have to claim that this video is sponsored or something. Yeah, Warrior Woman, if you have some problems, just shoot me an email. You'll find my email address in the description of any video, and we'll see if we can dig it out.
Oh, that's a whole challenge. If you don't make mistakes, you don't learn anything.
Yeah. You can make 10 mistakes in a laser or a machine shop before it's a problem.
I work with a whole office full of people who have no idea what they're doing.
Thanks, Warrior Woman. Whoever you're supporting on of us will be nothing but cows and chickens. It's more like dogs and ponies. Or unicorns and rainbows.
Yeah, there you go.
Tight inlay. Well, so you have to take the kerf into account. The kerf, by the way, is the thickness of the beam when you cut something. So when you use the beam to cut, it's like using a saw, and it has thickness. So what you can do is cut the outline, and then when you're cutting the pieces to insert into the inlay, you can add kerf compensation to them in Lightburn. And it's usually, if you start with half of the beam thickness, which is probably, if you got a 20 watt, it's probably 0.15 or something, 0.1. Start with 0.05, and basically what you're doing is adding 0.05 millimeters to the entire outside perimeter of the piece, and it should fit tighter. Depends how tight you want it. If you want to be able to hammer it in, then you want to allow for more. Start with just a circle. Do a circle and then see how much you have to compensate to get the circle to fit tight. And yes, as Glitterfart points out, it depends on the material. Where's V? Who's drinking coffee at this time of day? Unless she's on the other side of the world.
Yeah, it must be because I'm on barley pop here.
Oh yes, the new this laser mat maker. I talked to the guys. There are a couple of guys who actually are laser people. Like they own diode lasers, and they were struggling with snazzy maps, as I'm sure many people who've tried to make a map will. And they just decided to create their own and fired up a company. And I think the challenge is when I went and read a lot of the comments in the video I did, a lot of people were complaining about the price. And yes, it's high, but the reality is if you make a map that you sell to somebody, you're going to pay back your monthly membership 3 times over in a single map. So these things are popular and people will pay money for them. Oops. Did I just take one away, Conrad?
That's all right.
Oh, third shift. That's why you're drinking coffee this time of day.
Yeah.
Coffee on IB.
I would be dead if I had to work in the middle of the night. I can barely sleep in the middle of the night, let alone work.
Well, I can tell you when I retired, I kind of ticked off a whole bunch of people because they weren't expecting it. Thought I was going to go forever, I guess.
Yeah, I was the same way. In part because I technically still had 6 years to official retirement.
Hey, if you could back up there to Creative Crafts DIY about cleaning their laser module, notice a fan was starting to melt. That's like a really unusual issue.
Hmm.
I have never had that on anything.
Oh, there you go. There's another Rolly user who loves it. There we go. We're connecting people. It's like we're matchmaking here on our live stream. This is awesome. Yeah, so I actually did a video. It was actually for the X-Tool P2, where I did an inlay of Marvin the Martian. And I didn't even try particularly hard to make it fit tight together. Because acrylic, you don't actually want it to be too tight or you'll crack it. But it came out really nice. I probably have a picture of it somewhere. We can try the old screen sharing thing here again. I do have a picture. Hang on. Oh, this is hard, this sharing stuff. There we go. All right. So this was the Marvin the Martian. It I had a bunch of this sparkly acrylic and really glossy red, so I thought, I'll make one of these. There's a lot of little pieces like around the edges between his head and his helmet. There's some really small pieces, and it came out really nice. Worked well. And he's such a good subject. Everyone loves Marvin.
Does anybody still know who that is anymore?
Yeah, this is that comment I noticed about the fan starting to melt. I have a lot of lasers, and I have never had that issue.
No. What kind of laser is it? Hey, there he is.
What's going on, guys?
55% power should definitely not cook a fan. Nothing really should cook a fan.
Actually, even at 100% shouldn't cook a fan because that's at the top of the module.
Yeah, there must be an actual problem with the fan motor.
Most of the time, those fan motors are just desktop fans.
Yeah.
Replace it.
Well, it depends on the laser. The X-Tool P2, man, the fan in that thing is phenomenal. It's not a laptop laser or a laptop fan for sure. But yeah, if the fan is melting, there's either you had a fire go up into the fan, which is doubtful, but it's more likely there's actually a problem with the fan motor.
Yeah.
And it's
Well,
getting
the bearings
hot.
are dirty.
They're cheap and easy to get if you need to replace it. I mean, they're really cheap. Just measure how many millimeter it is and make sure you get the right voltage for your laser head, whether it be 12 or 24. You can find them on Amazon all over the place.
Yeah, Lightburn 1.6 is out there. I don't think a whole lot has changed. They've added a couple of things, but Lightburn is now in just evolutionary mode, right? There's no revolution left there. It's pretty much.
I think they're just trying to keep up.
Yeah.
Hey, Roger,
Yeah.
did you get hit with any pretty bad storms?
Yeah, we had some wild ones here. That's why I was not sure if I was going to make it here tonight. I had to do a power quality analysis on a factory that lost its 160,000 volt incoming power then the backup breaker didn't close, and nobody else going to know what I'm talking about except maybe you.
Yeah,
that's why I've got the arc flash stuff on yet. I just got home.
Yeah, we raised a storm flag 3 times. But there was a micro burst on the back of my property. The trees are about 150 to 120 feet tall. 3 trees that ripped the top off.
Wow.
Completely in half. And then we get off this live. I got to go to my neighbor's house with the tractor because one of my trees, the top half is in his yard.
Oh.
It's kind of crazy. So, yeah.
There, V went to Glitter Fart's YouTube channel.
Your cow Furby babies are cute. Oh man, I can only imagine. Hey guys, I promised at one point, and I got kind of backlogged on it, but I just want to make sure I'm making good on the promise. Two things. One, I was going to do some giveaways, so I haven't forgotten. Sorry, I've just been crazy because, as you know, Roger and I are in the trades with Cards Power, and it's been a little nuts. But I will get to that. I just have to learn how to use the app. I'll probably watch a tutorial. It's like you guys are watching now, and they'll show them how to use it. And the other thing is, I promised everyone shirts. So I will be making everyone shirts for the logos. So you'll see us each with our own logos.
Everyone who's watching this right now, you mean?
No. My fellow co-hosts, my teammates, my brothers.
Clarity is important, you see.
Yes. So I will be making my fellow co-hosts shirts.
Yeah, like I say, upgrading that fan, it's not that tough. It's
Nope.
I've had to do it on servers. I've done it on laptops. I've done it on a lot of things. It's not really all that tough. Just need a few tiny tools is all you need.
Yeah, it's generally 4 screws, and they almost, depending on the laser, we'll say, but they almost all use the same plug on the end, so you can typically
See what you
plug
started?
it in. But
See what you started?
yeah, everybody was thinking the same thing. I heard it, man. I heard you were giving everybody T-shirts.
I guess if there's a demand, there's a will, there's a way. If really you guys really would wear some of our shirts, we can make that happen.
Yeah, let me put it in my store.
Let us know. Oh, so there it goes. And we get one. If you guys really did want some, let me know. We can make that happen.
Daniel has shirts.
Yeah.
Well, if Daniel has shirts, we all better have shirts for sale.
Woman cut, please. Okay.
Oh yeah, you're talking to Rick. He's the maker of many T-shirts.
Yeah, so I do DTG, DTF, and here they go. I'd wear it. Okay. All right, guys. We'll make up some shirts and merch. We'll give some free merch away. How about that, guys? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for I guess people are saying they want it. Okay.
There you go.
Right.
New business for you.
Yeah, you can open up your own merch store there.
Yeah,
there you go. There's the right idea. Make them and give them away.
Yeah, I think I'll just do that. To be quite honest with you, like I do a lot of DTF, DTG, sublimation, all that kind of stuff, but I've never associated my influencer with my business. And let's be honest, it's because then people will just copy all your gear, right? Most of my stuff is, so.
There, see, you got fans. Look at that.
Okay. All right, I'll do it. I'll get these made up. So there's a new DTF printer that's coming out. It just hit the United States to be produced last week, and it's 8-color printing. So everyone knows CMYK 4-color printing. It's 8-color printing. So the colors pop is like insane.
It already sounds expensive.
Does that include white?
Let's say you want neon pink. You can't do that with CMYK. You can't do every color you want, and with 8-color you can. Any color.
Yeah.
So does this new printer include white?
Yes.
Oh, cool.
2 white bays and 8 colors. So it's a 10-channel printer. Pretty insane.
Oh, there you go. V's going for the sympathy vote there. For what it's worth, I never win either. So.
All right, well, we'll do that and see what it says. But that's cool to know that people would want them. So I'll definitely get that made up and we'll get those sent out and be pretty cool.
You haven't made these yet?
No.
I'll send you a different logo then, because I refined mine a bit.
Okay. Yeah, send me whatever you want.
The AI I used to develop my logo, my new logo, is it just made it a little busy, and I simplified it a bit.
Cool.
I've just kept the same ones, kind of based on. Actually, it's kind of based on Minecraft, but I've liked it, so I just left it as is. And I make quite a few. I make quite a few shirts, but I do it all with sublimation. I don't have DTF here.
Big Max 4X.
Are you taking notes on all these sizes? Because
I don't have to. I can just go back to the live.
Oh, that's true.
Taking notes for him.
Yep. Go back to the live. Yeah. So if you
Alright.
want it, you really want it, let me know. Put your size in the comments below. I'll make
Wow.
sure you hook everybody up. Make sure I hook everybody up. So no problems. So a question, Mother's Day is right around the corner. Is anyone making anything creative with their laser woodworking?
You asked this last week, and I didn't make anything.
No one
last
answered.
week, and I'm still not making anything.
No one answered. No one answered.
Well, I can't make anything for my wife because she thinks pretty much everything I do in my workshop is stupid.
Oh, I can associate with that.
My wife thinks YouTube's stupid.
And my mother doesn't know what a laser is. You know, she's in her 80s, so.
Well,
Yeah,
my wife has never watched any of my YouTube videos, and I have over 400 of them.
Me too.
Yeah, I have discouraged my wife from watching my videos.
I just hit 3 million views. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm pushing 3 million actually.
Okay. Here they come. Here it come.
There you go.
All right. Yeah, just hit
We've
3 million.
either made you rich or poor. Depends on your generosity.
No, you don't. They're when you're making them yourself, Roger can say.
No, I'm not
it's
using
fairly
a green screen. This is all real. I don't live on the beach though.
He set up a fancy
You can
studio.
go-
So this is actually a video wall
Views.
behind me. In the video I dropped today, I actually had the X tool stuff on the wall back there.
All right. So Big Mac said I made a Bible stand for my mother and laid your subscription into it. Cool,
See,
man.
there's a worthy task, right?
There you go. Very cool. So I did, since I can say it, since my wife doesn't watch my YouTube videos. I did what that song. Remember I told you I was gonna have a song made for her,
Oh yeah.
my wife. So
Yeah.
I wrote all the words, and they took out 2 words, maybe because it didn't rhyme the way they wanted it to. But for the most part, and they added 2 words somewhere else I didn't say. But otherwise, everything else is identical, and it turned out pretty awesome.
I'm
I'll be
waiting
posting that.
I'm waiting to download it off of Spotify.
Yeah, I could put it on Spotify or YouTube. But my luck, that'd be the time she looks. So I'm gonna wait till after Mother's Day to do it. When I was teaching, I ran our live morning announcements using the green screens with the kids.
Yeah, I actually tried green screen, and it's kind of hokey actually. It's just
Yeah.
Oh, it's really cool if you wear a green shirt.
well, yeah. Then it's like the talking head, right?
Yeah.
I had this huge like green screen setup and this backdrop, and I did all that, and I was like, I don't like it. I was so
Well,
mad.
Yeah, I mean, I used it a bit for. In fact, I had the Marvin I showed was actually on my old green screen cloth. I used it for shooting me for thumbnails and stuff. But now there's just AI can do it for you, right? Like you can just remove the background with a click of a button.
Right.
Like in Kittle, it's easy, right? You just click and it's gone, and it works really well. So I don't really have much point to it anymore. Maybe I'll make a kite out of my green screen.
I was supposed to get one of those crazy marker boards, the smart
Yeah.
boards. It had like Windows 11 and Android, and then I don't know what happened. They bugged me forever, and I finally agreed, and then I don't know.
Well, this
Thank you,
past
thank you.
weekend, I was shooting a video on demonstrating an LED floodlight. Didn't really need it, but yes, I did need it. I wanted to light my boat dock up at camp. So
Nice.
I was shooting this video on it. Well, we have a lot of neighbors up there. Now everybody wants one. So I gave them all my links. Here you go.
Nice. There you go.
And then how much you charge to put it up? So guess what I'm going to be doing this weekend?
Nice one.
This is the keeping up with the Joneses model.
Oh,
you
yeah. This thing is so awesome, though. I mean, it's only 200 watts as opposed to the 250 watt high pressure sodiums that I had before. And the the lighting is it's incredible.
Yeah, but it's probably like 8 watts for real, right? The actual pull, the current.
No, it's 200 watt, but it's
No. On the LEDs, right? When they say 200 watts, because that's what it's like.
That's light.
Right?
Yeah, that's light output.
yeah,
Right.
it's light output.
Equivalent light
Probably
output.
but it's probably
Yeah,
like
what's the
8
current?
watts.
No, it's 200 watt input. This thing, it's literally a street light.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big head. It's a 2-inch slip fit, 120 volt. And I was just amazed at how well it lit up our dock area. And so were all the neighbors. They all want one.
Nice one.
So my whole idea wasn't to use that light for a navigation point when I'm coming up the river at night. Now, if everybody's going to have one, might end up at the wrong dock after a few too many of these barley pops here. But
You'll have to put a red light in yours.
yeah,
3D printers. This is, well, I mean, I have 3D printers, but this is really your domain, Roger.
okay. If you want to get into 3D printing, and you don't have a really set budget, go with the Bamboo line. Their tech support is excellent. However, they are expensive. If you're on an entry level, start with something like the Creality V3 Under 3,
expensive?
because the Bamboo is expensive. I mean, my X Carbon's over $1,500, but you can get into a Creality for a couple hundred, and that's what you see behind me right here. Those are all Creality Under 3s, with the exception of the one with the green filament on it. That's a King Rune something. I forgot what that's called now.
I see
so-
Creality just dropped their K1C now, which
Yeah,
is their color one equivalent to the Bamboo with the color rack
Yeah.
on
It didn't work well. The Bamboo X Carbon with the AMS system on is fantastic, but you have to have the budget for it.
Yeah.
If you're going to do single color and you just want to get into it and dabble in it, start with one of Creality's base models. As long as it works out of the box and you don't need to contact their tech support, which is like non-existent, they're good printers. If you do have a problem with one, go on one of the forums. There's all kinds of people that can help you out. And you'll get an answer much faster than you will from Creality.
Roger, can you
and probably a
explain
better answer.
Can you explain what the difference is in the type of element that goes into them, right? Because there's resin, there's all different. I mean, the 3D printer isn't just the 3D printer, right? There's
No,
different
all of
types.
mine are what they call FDM. They're all it's a filament, and I don't use a resin or anything. I've got 19 printers. You only see like 6 of them behind me, but and I've got them quiet tonight because I know that makes background noise.
And you got a good
But-
mic. You got the good mic.
Well, then I got home late, so I didn't have time to have anything running anyway. Best place to get supplies for what?
Laser engraving or 3D printing?
That was the same person that asked 3D
Yeah,
printer.
it was a 3D printer question.
I get my filament for my Bamboo. I actually get it from Bamboo Labs. For the Crealities back here, I generally buy Sunloon printing filament on Amazon.
Yeah, it's
So I
not
have a
bad filament.
60-watt laser on the way.
You have a 60-watt laser?
On the way. Yep.
CO or fiber?
Diode.
Oh, yeah. I got a 60-watt Falcon 2 Pro sitting in a box. It came in the other day.
Yeah.
I have to look at it. I don't know why they felt the need, honestly, to now keep in mind I haven't opened the box, but I don't know why they felt the need to come out with a 60-watt. Their 40-watt is pretty amped up anyway, so I don't know what they plan on cutting with a 60-watt, but I guess you could go really fast, except their top speed is 24,000 millimeters a minute. So
yeah, the Bamboo X1 Carbon is absolutely a fantastic printer. I do mine runs almost continuously, except tonight because it is noisy.
So why would you want a soft filament?
And
that was not meant to be a joke.
If you're gonna do something with TPU and you need it to be flexible, here I'll give you an example. Let's say you've got one of these. This is a mod.
Oh wow.
and you wanted to put a protector on here to protect the glass if you dropped it, you need a TPU type filament that's
Oh,
flexible enough that you can slip over that.
So
Otherwise,
like
So
things
this
on the
is
pencils.
this is
so the
flexible
gear callus?
TPU.
yeah,
What I use this for is making golf tees for my simulator. This entire
cool.
roll is dedicated to that.
I was going to grab something off this printer, but man, is that stuck to the bed?
Glow in the dark. That's pretty cool.
Out of TPU.
So if you're using regular PLA filament, that's what's on this mat right here. Get one of these off of here.
Someone said they perfected hemp filament yet. They're using hemp.
No, this is PLA.
Actually, no.
This is actually a laser mount for a SculptFun S9, but there's no flexibility to it. And if you push it too hard, it'll actually break. With the TPU, it's got the flexibility. You can kind of mold it around and do stuff.
Yeah, PLA gets more brittle over time too.
And it does not like moisture, or it does not like ultraviolet light. So you don't want to use it out in the sun.
Okay, so I hear a whole lot of negatives on. So what's the best filament to use then for like a general purpose?
I use PLA Professional for most things. If I'm going to do something that's going to be out in the sun, I'll use ABS.
Yeah, for outside stuff, I'll either use ABS or PETG.
Yeah,
PETG is good too. That's another one we use.
PETG is the stuff they make like water bottles out of, plastic water bottles. And that stuff will last forever outside.
Yeah, these fit the. I know they fit the S9. S30 probably. If you take a look at that, figure out if that fit a quarter of your laser or not. You have to measure your leg.
Any word from Daniel this afternoon?
There's so many different lasers out there. It's hard to keep up with all these things, and we've already got, I think, 19 different mounts.
It's crazy.
Yeah, Ender 3 that's probably the best starter 3D printer, I'd say.
Yeah, it's there's a learning curve to it. Like it doesn't matter what printer you get, you're gonna have a learning curve. You're gonna have to learn that slicer and learn how to set your files up. But yeah, Ender 3 is a good entry level printer.
So being honest and transparent, if you were to buy a 3D printer, besides learning the printer itself, do you really have to know CAD, or how involved do you have to be, or what's your knowledge have to be, or what's the learning curve like to use the software?
You don't have to know CAD because there's places like big repositories of 3D models, right?
Yeah, like Thingiverse.
Thingiverse is the most obvious one. Prusa also has one that they run. And they're just STL files, which is the standard 3D model.
So they're just generic things you can print? Is that what it is? Or do they create custom jigs for you or whatever?
Well, there's if you go to Thingiverse, pretty much anything you can think of, there's some variant of it on Thingiverse, because it's just everybody's been putting stuff up there for a decade, right? So there's lots.
Yeah, there's stuff on there that is absolutely useless, but it's kind of cool.
Yeah, well, yeah. Make no mistake, right? There's some chaff with the wheat.
Yeah, if you
find anything out there, you could get a throttle body, or not a throttle body, but a palm throttle adjust for your bike. So you just, if you want to, yeah. But anyway,
and if you wanted to
go, they're all flying in here, Rick.
Yeah, Maker World's another one, and if you want to design your own whatever, and you know nothing about CAD, and you don't want to pay for a CAD program, go to Tinkercad.
Yeah,
it is really, really basic. It was actually designed for kids, but that is a fantastic place to learn CAD, at least the basics of it.
Yeah,
and
that was actually the first CAD tool, 3D CAD tool that I used for 3D printing.
You said I need a 3D. I need to get my 3D printer going. I'm going to be out of work for 6 weeks after a knee replacement, so I'll be working, getting it going, then make some brackets.
In fact, these brackets right here were designed in Tinkercad.
Hope you have a speedy recovery and your knees way better than it was before you had the surgery.
Yeah, I've moved over to Fusion now for most 3D stuff, but I do enough that I have the paid version of it. But Fusion is also, there's a free version of that too. That's pretty. I mean, it's totally capable. It's just limited on the number of projects you can store there. It's got learning curve though.
You're welcome.
There's a new one I was looking at. I forget what it was called, Printicity or something.
So someone was to buy a 3D printer. They're looking to get a 3D printer, entry level, trying to make money with it. What do you think some entry level smalls are something you could actually sell?
Well, I sell laser mounts and risers, and a lot of them. I mean, we do several $1,000s a year in just laser mounts and risers off the 3D printers.
And they're not big.
No,
you can make those on any 3D printer.
Yeah, you don't need some giant thing. For example, this here was, well, there's most of them there. Were made on a Engraving printer, and it's not big. It's the LK4X, I think. And, you know, not to it. I use PEI beds so I can pop these off. If you're not familiar with a PEI bed, we're getting a little 3D printing stuff here. This, it sticks to the bed like so. You can flex this bed. Then you can pop your pieces off like this.
Okay.
Whereas with the glass beds, a lot of times you're going to have to, if they're stuck really good, you're going to have to tap on them or hammer on them or whatever. But for almost most of my printers, I use PEI beds.
I said, I saw your Atom Stack Feet 3D printer, Roger. How long does it take to make them? I know about zero about 3D printers.
A set of 4 of these, I'm guessing that's probably about 6 hours.
Wow.
3D printers on like the Engraving or the Corellities, they're not fast. You get into my Kitty, which is back in the corner, or my Bamboo X1 Carbon, they'll crank these out in an hour. But you're going to pay a whole lot more for those printers.
Yeah, and in general, 3D printing takes longer anyway than say a laser or a CNC doing jobs, right? It's just something you get used to. You start it and you walk away and go do something else, right?
So hence why you had 19.
That's why I have 19 printers. I run them, for example, on one of the Crealities behind me, there's a set of 50 millimeter risers for a Dakota laser on there. That's like a 14-hour print. So I start it in the evening and I come back the next morning and take them off. But so if you do not have patience, don't get a 3D printer.
Yes, or be prepared to drink lots of coffee while you wait.
Right. I guess you'd almost need more than one if you're trying to build a scalable business. Because you can't have something printing for 6 hours and somebody asks you to do something and you can't, right?
Right. One of the most popular ones I get are the mounts and the risers for the longer Ray 5s. And I make those up and I'll make 40 sets at a time.
So one thing that I saw that I thought was unique, and it was a high price ticket item. I guess in the 40s and 50s, the electrical receptacle base plates or a switch base plate were pretty unique, like crazy fancy designs on them, almost like sculpture like. And to make a recreation of something or something like that, those face plates were selling for like $150 to $250, and I couldn't believe it. And the crazy part is that they're not buying one, right? They're replacing every single one in the house. So
and the neat thing about that is there's software out there that if you have a photograph of it, or better yet, if you have the actual faceplate, you can make a 3D scan of it.
Yeah.
Right.
And then convert that to an STL and print it.
Right. And then the difference was it's not made of metal. Those were made of metal, right? Those probably like
the old ones were
or something. Yeah. And they're 3D printing them. And I was like $150 to $250 for one. How many faceplates do you have in your house? Holy cow. I couldn't even count.
Well, there are videos on YouTube you'll see where people take 3D prints, they spray them with zinc paint, and then they electroplate them. So you can do like you can create effectively metal 3D prints, right?
Yeah, one of the popular things back in the 20s and 30s was brass, and you
Yeah.
can electroplate them with brass. They
Yeah.
also have a filament that is, I might have it on, oh, it is on one of my printers. This has a brass look. It's just not, doesn't have the gloss, but it looks like brass.
Yeah, I have a roll of that somewhere too.
I don't know if I can zoom over to that one.
3D printers solve so many problems.
Well, they cause a lot of problems.
There's that brass filament you see there, that brass colored filament is on a King Rune printer.
I think eventually 3D printers will be like just having a printer in your house. Like everyone will kind of have them. I think it'll come to that point eventually.
Yeah, they have to figure out how to make them faster.
Yeah.
You know, we need the Star Trek replicator kind of stuff, right?
There you go. Exactly.
Where, you know, you can say you're looking for something like you need a new tool and you can just have it made.
Okay, the vacuum hoses. You want to make adapters for vacuum hoses? 3D printer is a perfect thing. There's one right there.
Yeah.
Taking it from a 4 to a 2.5.
I've made my share of those.
Yeah.
What did you say you were making, Conrad? You were making something weird with a 3D printer. Your holders for your hex things, right?
Yeah. Little custom parts. It wasn't hard to figure out how to using Tinkercad to make some shapes and then modify it again to make a shape that works. I built some little basically they're braces to hold wood panels in at 60-degree angles to make hexagonal forms.
Okay, so let's say you've got a Cricut Maker and you've got all these little tools. This is a file off of Thingiverse, 3D printed, throw the little tools in.
Cool. Let me see the bottom. What's it look like? Or flip it around. Oh, there you go. There. Okay, cool. Cool.
So that's one model of it, and this one isn't loaded right now, but this is for the put the different cutters in.
Nice. Like desk organizers.
I made these things. These are hard video drives, right? And these all fit into my 19-inch rack over there. These are just the handles for the ends of the drives. So that's the kind of like it's good for making tools, right? The slot that the thing goes in was 3D printed too.
V said, "Dang, I've been buying PVC adapters all this time for my exhaust and never thought of making my own."
Oh, yeah. If you go into, like I say, if you don't know how to use CAD, you go into Tinkercad, and let's say you want to make something like this. Oh, not necessarily that size. Put your sizes in there, stack them up, and put that little bevel in there in Tinkercad, and save it as an STL. Send it to your printer, and crank one out.
Nice one.
That's what's maddening about shop vac hoses is there's so many different sizes of them. There's nothing standard. It drives you crazy.
Dun.
Here's another little gimmick thing. I'll grab it here. If you have a Cricut or a Cameo and you're weeding vinyl and you have the little hook like this and you've got the little bits of vinyl on it, here's a little weeding thing. You just slip this in there, go like that, and all the little pieces fall off and go down inside. Then when you're done, you can take it off and empty it out.
Nice.
Although, obviously, I haven't emptied that in a while.
And in general, one of those things would probably last a lifetime anyway. So
yeah, but it's a neat little gimmick thing, and it's a free download off Thingiverse. So things like that are handy.
Nice.
Yeah, I have various bits and pieces of things 3D printed on my studio equipment here. I get to the point now where if I need something, my go-to isn't where can I buy it? It's usually can I just make it myself.
Then for a gimmick thing, we need an SD card holder. Here's a little fish.
Nice.
Oh, there's Conrad's hex holders.
Okay.
These fit into
two-sided pieces.
Makes these hexagonal wine racks, and these things hold them together.
Come on, focus.
Roger, what camera do you have?
Today I've got a Tenevo
Looks really
PTZ
good.
camera.
Looks really good.
For what it costs, it should be. You know, it's remote controlled. I have the official remote here. If I can learn how to use it right.
My dog's going nuts, sorry, guys.
Normally, I have my Panasonic GH5s up here, but I got home so late, I had to just scramble to throw something together here tonight.
Yeah, I've been wanting to upgrade my camera. I obviously did the mic, the DJI. I like that a lot, but you know, I'm using the camera on the Mac Pro. It's not exactly the greatest, so I wouldn't mind upgrading. So it's next on the list.
Yeah, it's always something.
Yeah.
When I
3D
bought
printers
my,
are awesome around the holidays. I make all kind of candle holders for gifts. That's a cool idea.
yeah. Do you shoot? Well, obviously, if you're shooting on your Mac, you're probably shooting HD, right?
Yes.
If you just want a standalone mirrorless camera, Canon M200 is not a bad one.
I was looking at this.
HD.
I was looking at this DJI laptop webcam. Supposed to be like auto tracking and landscape it will automatically switch and
Yeah.
but you know anything DJI is just outrageous, right? So
Now this Tenevo I'm using, I'm shooting in 4K, and it's like I say, I've got zoom and I can move the thing around with this remote to say if I remember how to use it right. Because every time I hit right, it goes left. Although up and down works right. It's kind of like using the old 3018 CNCs and trying to move the y-axis the right direction.
I need a bunch of clamps for my
Steve knows
laser
what I'm
grid
talking
project.
about.
So I 3D printed a bunch. Yeah. These stupid things. I got a million of these things, right? These
Yeah.
are expensive, man.
Yeah.
These are expensive, especially the big ones. I have like the really long ones. Man. And then you start getting into like these guys, corners and
Corners. Yeah.
oh, man, clamps are so damn expensive. Why are they so expensive? I don't know. I keep saying I'm going to start buying them from Harbor.
Haven't you figured this out? They're expensive because you need them.
You know, hey, okay. So I got something to say about that. I saw today that a 2025 Dodge Ram Laramie is going to be $119,000. And the reason is because for the first time in so many, more than a decade, obviously, dealerships are not accepting new vehicles from the manufacturers, both Ford and Dodge. So some dealerships still have 2023s because they're not selling. But the manufacturers are claiming the reason they're not selling is because the dealers are charging $8,000 plus above MSRP, and people just cannot afford it. So they said that Ford, every vehicle they sell that's electric, they lose like $8,000 to $11,000. So they're claiming like a couple $1 billion loss. And Dodge, because so many Dodge trucks were not accepted from the dealership, they're causing so many $1 billion loss. So both Ford and Dodge are doing like historical number layoffs.
Doesn't bode well for
I
the
was looking at
economy.
the 2025 tacos and 55,000.
You know, I had a 2021 Escalade EXT. It was $117,000, and I bought it, and I traded it in. And when I traded in, it had 8,000 miles on it. Right. Well, I'm a lineman, right? I drive a company vehicle. I'm never home. It's not my only vehicle. I have 3 other vehicles. So I didn't drive it. I went to trade it in. They're like, "What's it have on? 100,000 miles?" I'm like, 8,000. You know. But before I bought it, I had a dually, and I was 8,000 plus, and the Escalade was plus. So I ended up getting 2 trucks for the price of one. I got a brand new Laramie and I got a brand new Durango. But that just kind of the whole idea of our videos, like what we're doing right now, doesn't mean that, you know, being a laser, a woodworker, a CNC, whatever these topics we're talking about, doesn't mean you don't have a successful full-time career, a full-time gig. The whole idea is that these type of ideas can be very lucrative, you know, and definitely put some money under the mattress, so to speak, because our economy is kind of shaky right now, right? So if you find your niche, you find something someone wants, it can definitely be a plus to your family, an additional income, or maybe just McDonald's. They said McDonald's for the first time ever is closing. McDonald's is at by thousands stores at a time, and that they're saying that people are literally not going, and they're realizing they're too expensive. So, our economy is taking a hit. So these side hustles, they may be something you really consider.
Well, more importantly, now is the time to learn a skill, right? Because when the economy tanks, you'll have something to do that
Right.
you can create some gainful. Because the one thing is, when people can't afford to buy things, they want things made, right? Which they can do generally cheaper than.
Well, and there's an old system called bartering, right? I mean,
Yep.
literally, I don't have chickens anymore. Coyotes got all my chickens, and I have a huge vegetable garden. So I bring vegetables over to my neighbor's house, and he'd bring chicken egg over to my house. You know what I mean? I had another person come over and take wood, and he'd bring me something in exchange. And it's kind of crazy. I think those times are going to start coming too. People.
Yeah, I think they'll be back when the economy starts to suffer. I mean, it's there, right? It's just the world just hasn't realized that it's in trouble yet.
I'll throw another thing out there for young people. Excuse me. If you're looking for something to do for a living, you want to go to college or you want to do whatever, don't go into studying on dead French poets, because there's no career in that.
Right.
If you want a career and you can't afford to go to college, get into a building trade. And they will always be needed. That is not going to be obsolete. There will always need to be plumbers, electricians, pipe fitters, steam fitters, plasterers, carpenters. Who did I leave out? Sheet metal, iron workers. There will always be there, and you get on-the-job training. And I mean, I was an electrician for 42 years before I retired, although I'm still not officially retired because I just did some work today. But that's a career, and you make good money at it, and you have a good retirement, especially if you go union.
Yeah, so I had a 2015 and a 2021. Both, it's hard to top a Cadillac. I tell you that. And I will agree with Roger. What he's saying is that I've been in the trades 26 years, but I got into the union later in my career, and I would say that because in my experience, the union are cliquey. It's almost like you got to know somebody to get in. I mean, you can go on the union, sign the books, and wait. There's 158 guys ahead of you. And somehow, it's like winning the lottery to get pulled in, because most of the time when you meet someone in the union, how'd you get the job? Oh, my cousin, my uncle, my neighbor. So I would just say that the union takes favor to pull people into someone that they know. And I almost say as they should, right? Because if you're a valuable member, then you're probably going to bring in another valuable member, someone who, thinks it's good. But, and I remember when I was going to journeyman school, people were making fun of saying, you're an idiot if you want to go to college. And I was like, I went to college. Why the hell would you go to college? I was like, there's nothing wrong going to college, but, some guys don't want to dig holes all day, so there's nothing wrong with both, but it's definitely a 6-figure salary, but you don't mind getting dirty. That's for sure.
Well, I did both. I went to college. I went and got my through my apprenticeship. I got my journeyman's first. Then I went to college. Got a degree in electrical engineering, and I can say without bragging, I have never collected unemployment a day in my life. I've always been employed. So especially if you find a niche and you pick up a specialty in one of the trades, whether it be electrical or pipe fitting or whatever, if you get a niche and you're good at it, you'll be employed.
Yeah. Just times are hard right now for everyone. I know we went from working 110, 115 hours to now they're rotating 24 hours every other week. So this year, I was 3 guys that I helped talk to off the ledge, not committing suicide. 5 guys I know got divorced. You're talking a guy who was making $185,000, $215,000 a year to go down to $30,000 to $60,000 a year. They're losing everything, including their wives. And sometimes some men can't take that,
Oh,
I got
hearing
rid of
this,
an SRT8. I got rid of an Escalade. I have a very beautiful big house. I don't need a fancy car, So the other thing is that you have to live within your means, and these side hustles can be that, your full check can go to the bills. You can be dead broke, but you have your bills paid, right? And if you need that cushion, the luxury to spoil yourself or to treat yourself or treat your family, that's where these side hustles can come in real handy.
well, these side hustles, well, lets me spend most of the winter in Mexico.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, it's a peace of mind thing too, right? It's just like, I mean, when I was working full time versus now, I mean, when I was working, I made 10 times what I make in my own business, and I'm making good money now. It's just, it's not that, but I hated every second I was working towards
Right.
the end. It's like, why am I here? And I just one day said, I'm going to keep doing my side hustle. It's going to be my main thing now. And I actually enjoy waking up in the morning and grab my coffee, head to my workshop and do some things. And that's much more satisfying to me than what I was doing, getting paid, good money for. So
I think that should be every man's goal, every woman's goal, right? At some point in your life to be able to do that. But I think there's also, unfortunately, some people that, they literally work until their dying day. You know what I mean? You don't save a penny. I know guys who, and they're 75 years old and they're still out there humping. It's like, man.
Yeah, I couldn't do that. Like I retired, I was 58.
Yeah,
and
very cool.
And I still I'm not even eligible for pension until, well, this year I am actually, towards the end of the year. But
but hats off to you, and that's something that people should look up to and take that, there's something that is still accomplishable, and you don't have to be a Bill Gates or something like that to be able to do that. You can make an honest living, and be able to come to that level, even in our struggling economy, and that's maybe, you don't know, somebody could be on that ledge and just that little glip, what you said,
yeah,
they're
well,
close
yeah.
to
I
that
mean,
age and everything, and like, I can do it.
It's worse in, like I was in the tech sector, right? I mean, I was in software and when the economy turns down, software disappears, right? It's not like electricians, we're going to need them, right? There's no question. You might have fewer hours or something, but you're still going to get some work because everybody wants that. No one wants software when there's a recession, right? So it's tough in the software industry because you get guys who are making 300,000-400,000 a year easy, and all of a sudden they're making zero.
Right.
And it's it's a tough situation to be in. And for me, it wasn't even that. I wasn't worried about ever getting laid off, but it was stressful, right? It's just, just one day I said, I can't do this anymore. And ironically, my wife, who's a couple of years younger than I am, is now entering that stage, right? It's the I work with idiots and I just don't want to do anything because my work is not rewarded and recognized, and I can see her retiring early too.
Well, I don't miss working full time because I did enjoy the work, but what I was doing was so high stress that I would come home. This is why I don't have any hair. I think it was because of the stress of that work. But I had a real high stress job, and once I retired, it was like somebody just took a huge weight off of me. And I still do a little bit of consulting, but that's not high stress like I was when I was working. But I've always had a little sideline going on. Like I said, paid for vacations and does well. And I do have a friend that same age as me. I'm 67. He's still working because he's still paying child support on a 4-year-old. And I asked him, you know what causes that? But all I got was a look, you're crazy. But yeah, and he wasn't even married to her.
Yeah. Yeah. So in the chats, I can see the comments, obviously, and some of these are giveaways on what you actually do for a living by your name, hence HVAC A to Z, along with others in there. But I'm just curious, obviously I ask all the time, what area of the country or the world are you guys watching it from? I'm just curious, what do you do? What's your full-time gig that you're looking to do these side gig things? let us know in the comments below. What is your full-time gig that you're learning these other skill sets or learning these other side hustles, so to speak? What's your full-time gig? Let us know.
I think what's driving it too, right? Like I mean, we all have our own reasons why we woke up one morning and said, "Oh, I'm going to go buy a laser," right? And it's interesting to hear what people's perspectives are on that too. Sometimes it's just I need an outlet, right? Like for me, I needed a creative outlet, and because I just got so tired of writing the same software and building the same teams over and over and over again, and that's it. I got to have something I can do that's creative, and
Right.
And I just started. Well, I mean, I was always making things anyway, but I just went kind of full time in a side hustle. And
I just wanted to kind of add something to my wood shop to kind of play with. Same with the 3D printers. I mean, I never intended on that being a business, but it just kind of snowballed. Hey, can you make this? Can you make this? You know how to make this? And then when I started the YouTube channel and people started seeing the mounts and risers I had on my lasers, do you sell those? Can I buy those? And so I put them on a website and it took off.
So, I mean, OnlyFans is not an option to all of us, but some of us, the silver foxes over there, At one point, I used to have a 6-pack. Now I have a keg. I don't know. I might have to get that 6-pack.
I am the same way. Yes.
It is interesting to see what people do for a living, though. HVAC. That's a good building trade to be in.
Nice one. Yep. I thought I was going to play golf every day after I retired from teaching. Then I bought a CNC. Needless to say, my golf game has suffered.
Oh, you get tired of golfing anyway.
Yeah, I said a few weeks back that I got an email from a lawyer. Remember, I was almost like, what? And it was questions about a laser. But he was emailing from his, he owns a law firm, but that's crazy, He obviously does need the money, or I'm assuming he does need the money, but maybe it's a creative outlet, like you said.
Yeah, well, that was my issue. It was just I have to make something, right? And I mean, I was doing it even when I was working, and at some point I said, okay, I just want to do that. I don't want to work anymore because so I took the 90% pay cut and just started making my own stuff. And I mean, I'm not going to starve. I'm actually busier than I want to be most of the time. Because
that's the thing.
There are times when I wake up in the morning and go, man, this has become a job.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that could start as a hobby and become a full-time job, and I've got a couple of them.
Yeah, and that's
Teresa said HR director and started as a hobby. So Teresa,
there you go.
Are you doing lasers, CNCs? What are you doing, or all the above? I know we kind of cover it all. Just curious. Yeah. So Steve, I see you've been pushing out some videos lately.
Yeah, I've had to. I've been behind schedule. I have to do another one in the next week as well. Well, the X-Tool Ultra F1 Ultra is one I had to get out today because they're gonna do a kickoff next week, I think. And then I have to do another video like the actual review. There's a lot they wouldn't let me tell anybody, so that's the one I mentioned that it was a new fiber laser from someone you knew.
Yeah,
that one I think is going to have big industry impact.
Okay. So I met someone 2 days ago that supposedly, I would just say he's the one who supplies them. Man, I don't know if that's true.
He's the one what?
He's the one who supplies them that they're rebranding.
X-Tool?
Yeah.
Well, it's possible.
I know. It just seems like that. Like, and then I'm being careful and cautious of what I say it, but in China they're very cutthroat. They, steal each other's patents. That almost just seems like it's fair game, right?
Yeah, intellectual property is not a thing in China. It is, but ownership of the intellectual property is not really a thing.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, so what? But I don't know. We'll see.
Like I know even when I was doing the I think it was the S1. I was under NDA with that for a few months too, and it was like, you can't talk about this, you can't mention it to anybody because they're worried about their competition, right, getting a hold of it. And this one wasn't quite as bad. I think they were just closer to market with the F1 Ultra, and it was really just just keep your trap shut for a few weeks, right? So so it was a much easier run this time. But
Jan said, actually, I never thought about a 3D printer laser until I started watching you guys. Nice one. Now I'm hooked, and I'm glad I retired so I can learn more and more. Always something to learn.
And you won't be able to stop with just one.
Yes.
Yeah, it has to be an addictive thing.
I'm just a dog groomer for the past 30 years. I got a laser to make sprawl projects to sell. Earned some money for a rescue group that I volunteer with. Very cool.
Good cause. Yeah, it's a good cause.
Very cool. Thanks, guys. Can't wait to see the t-shirts. Okay. So there's a demand for it. All right.
Yeah, if you've created a monster now. Well, I created a monster for you. I made you lots of work now. We'll never see you again.
So there's going to be a little, what do they say? A friendly competition, right? At the end of the day, whose shirts are they going to want more?
Oh, yes.
A little friendly competition.
I'm ready for that. But I will send you an updated one before you make them. I'll send that tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of my granddaughters and I are in kind of cohorts with Sublimation, and she does a lot of tumblers and mugs and that type of thing. Of course, I do mostly signs, and then she sells them at shows. But she's wanted to get into DTF. And she says, "Grandpa, get yourself a DTF printer." I go, "Yeah, those aren't cheap."
Right. So my whole thing on the DTF printer is that early on when they first came out, there was no such thing as a DTF printer. They were converted printers. So their converted printers, they had a lot of problems because they weren't made to use that type of ink. And, the print head would last you years. You run DTF in it and it's going to last months, right? But now printers are made for DTF. So we're just 3 years ago versus now, we're just in a whole world of difference. So if you really want to get into it, Roger, let me know. I can definitely hook you up.
It's the same thing with Sublimation. When we first started Sublimation, I converted a Epson inkjet printer to Sublimation ink. Of course, now I got a Sawgrass SG1000, and which is made for it. Right. But the Epson, it's sitting over here by me, old 2700. It still works just fine.
Yeah, I got an Epson 570. But I honestly bought an Epson 570, the wide format sublimation printer, because I thought my wife would use it. And because DTF is kind of complicated, right? There's a whole lot to it. So I thought it'd be a lot easier to her. But she was intimidated by the RIP software. And the RIP software that comes with that, it's like, just to be able to print to it, the RIP software, it's licensed to one computer and they validate the key, so it only could be on my computer. So I was like, this sucks. So honestly, we've used it like 4 times, 5 times. That was like what, $3,000 out the window. Well, consider $1,000 a print. But what are you gonna do? I was an X-ray tech for a trauma hospital, retired at 60, spent all my free time in my shop. Very cool.
What is free time? Does anybody else have free time? Because I certainly don't seem to have it.
I can say I have seen a lot in my days working. Doing what? What's your days working?
My wife wonders why I have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning.
I still do that, even though I don't have to.
Well, I have to because I got too much to do. But
I got my K40 about 6 weeks ago. It's been broken more than it's run. Saving up to replace it with a diode soon. Learning a lot from some of you YouTubers. Thanks for sharing your knowledge.
Well, what's the issue with your K40? They're not really all that difficult to run, unless you get your mirrors out of focus.
So one of the problems with K40 is right out the box is the LCD displays, right, for the temperature.
Well, you throw them away and you get the good ones off Amazon for $10 bucks.
Yep. And then the other thing was the there's two versions of the power supplies and two versions of that motherboard that runs everything.
Yeah, you want the Roida one, not the other
Right.
one.
So if you have the newer version of the motherboard and newer version of the power supply, you're solid. But if you have a combination of the two, or just the old versions, Momport sent me a K40 and the first one, man, problems right out the box, and eventually just couldn't get it to work. And they sent me a second one, no problems at all. But guess what it had? The new power supply and the new version of motherboard, right?
Yeah, my Montport has both the newer motherboard compatible with Lightburn and the upgraded power supply. And there again with the temperature readers, just throw them away and get the $10 ones on Amazon.
Yeah.
There you go, Roger. There's the free time.
Yeah.
Time you don't get paid for.
I think the only free time I have is when I'm sleeping.
There you go.
I don't even get to do too much of that.
All right, guys. Looks like we hit 8:30. You guys ready to hit it? I know we're all on different time zones here.
Yeah, it's 10:30 for me.
Yep.
Yeah, and I've had a long day and a lot of heat, and I probably don't really smell too good. So time for a shower.
Hey, so for starters off, I just want to say thank you guys for covering for me while my son's in baseball. And he'll be in for, I think, 2 more weeks. Until then, I can join the lives when you guys start with. But
I'm glad Roger showed up.
Yeah.
I
said if you get desperate, show your
was going to
feet.
take over.
I said if you get desperate, show your feet.
I got here kind of like the really, really very last minute. I was scrambling to even get a camera set up here.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining the live. Appreciate all you guys' love and support. Thank you for the nice comments and concerns you guys sent me when I missed the last two, making sure that I was okay. That meant a lot. Appreciate that. And special thanks to my co-host for stepping up to the plate and helping me out when I got to take care of some families first. You guys want to say anything to close out?
Okay, I will see you all next week. Same time, same channel, as they say.
And hopefully a few videos in between now and then.
Well, I need to do that too.
I don't want China upset with me.
I know. I got like 5 I'm going to drop.
My problem is I need what they call free time.
Yes. Except you won't get paid for it.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, everyone. God bless.
See you all next week.
Okay, guys.
See you next week.
Thanks, everyone.